Hi, you're watching Investor Insights, and in this video I'd like to discuss debt. More specifically, good debt and bad debt. To give you a picture of the difference between good debt and bad debt, I'll go back to a time when America just declared independence and it freed itself from the association with Europe. The American government borrowed a lot of money from the Europeans, but that money was used to produce, to farm, to make a better America. So over the ensuing century, they borrowed more and more debt, but that debt was productive debt. So with the money, eventually they built factory, they built railroads, and those factories in turn were able to produce high quality, low cost consumer products. And America repaid all those debts using those factories and the extra productive capacity that they've earned using that debt. And by 1981 or 1982, America became the wealthiest creditor nation in the world. It not only did it need debt, it loaned money to everybody. Everybody owed America. There was hardly any debt. And it's amazing how within 30 years, that's all gone down the toilet. And again, that happened through debt. So, good debt is what is defined as productive debt. So, a debt that a company issues, so some bonds, to build new factories, to enhance production, to increase production, to grow, to produce more goods and services, is good debt. Now, what happened in the 80s was a total shift in mindset, because America went from the most powerful creditor nation and with it to one of the poorest debtor in fact, it's the poorest debtor nation on the planet today. Now, I say poorest not because everybody's broke, but I mean the government, if you define wealth as assets minus liabilities, America has $17 trillion worth of debt. And that makes it the poorest nation in the world. It's just common sense. And the fact that it can't pay it off means that it's broke. Enough said. But anyway, back to the 80s, the mindset shifted from one of production to one of consumption. So America went from producing inexpensive consumer goods of the highest quality, and despite paying the highest wages, to one of just let's consume. So they, during that time, they also became the biggest savers. There's a lot of household savings. It was a very good mentality. Work hard, save your money, and you're going to enhance your future consumption. But that all changed because the mentality went into, well, let's just let everybody else work. Let's enjoy the fruits of their labor. And in return, we're going to give them pieces of paper because we're not producing anything. And those pieces of paper are bad debt, because America's changed from a productive nation to a consumption nation, and that's done through debt. And more specifically, as I've always used the term, debt finance consumption. Not only does your country not export anything anymore, but it imports everything. And how free functioning capital markets work is that you pay for imports with your exports, and that gives you a comparative advantage. But because America doesn't produce anything, it gives them IOUs, these little pieces of paper, to say in due time we're going to repay you back with currency once we're able to manufacture something and export it. It's just a contract between you and I that I promise I won't break, and life just goes on. You just keep on sending me stuff. You make your hard-working labour force, whether it be in China or Japan or whatever, and we're going to enjoy all your productive capacity. We're just going to enjoy all your goods and services, and in reward for them, we're just going to give you some debt, some IOUs. And this has been going on for the past 30 odd years. And unfortunately, debt begets more debt. So as this appetite for consumption grew, this debt also grew. And because you're not expanding your productive capacity, you're still not manufacturing anything, that debt and the interest on it, because you're not paying your debt, you're not even paying the interest on your debt, you choose to print more debt to cover the interest for the original debt. And this is a debt spiral. And that spiral is now worth 17 trillion. Now, that debt to consume goods and services is bad debt. Now, it doesn't have to relate just to a country. It can relate to a company, it can relate to an individual. But I don't think that companies take on debt to consume, because if companies just consume, they wouldn't exist anymore. Companies have to produce. So all their debt are good debt, they're productive debt. Now, if you look at the individual, it should be even more bleeding obvious. If you take on debt to fund something, and the asset that you're buying is going to pay you, and in the long term it's going to increase your wealth, then that's good debt. It's productive debt. If you borrow money so that you can go out and have a holiday, if you go out and shop, if you go to spend it on other people or give it away, it doesn't matter. That debt actually costs you money, like interest, and that it's a spiral. The interest begets more interest, and your debt grows larger. So if you think about it, good debt and bad debt can be just a matter of timing, just like it was in the States. But more importantly, if you use debt for consumption, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're only creating more debt for yourself.